Welcome to the Nerd Powwow. Follow us on YouTube where we upload new videos every Friday, or check us out on your favorite podcast platform. Spoiler warnings, we do deep dives on characters, storylines, and theory crafting. With that said, Mariah Bane, what are we talking about today?
I think we're going to start off talking a little bit about the Red Hulk. He's relevant right now with the new Captain America movie, so we'll get into him a little bit, and then we'll go down the Hulks of the Marvel world, the Marvel universe, get into discussions
The
about them.
rabbit hole of
So
Hulk.
yeah, it's a rabbit hole. I mean, the Hulk has a long, tumultuous history, so we'll be down that rabbit hole with him. Probably more like a cavernous rip in the earth than a rabbit hole, but that's what we'll go down tonight. So.
Definitely on
So
theme.
yeah, so Red Hulk, for a while there, his identity was a mystery to a lot of people, but he is Thunderbolt Ross, a longtime enemy of both Bruce Banner and the Hulk in a way. Given the relationship that he had with Betty and everything else, because that's something from the comics that was kind of interesting is that Ross was just as disapproving of the Hulk as he was of Bruce. He didn't want his
Daughter to be with
daughter
some
with
nerd scientist.
this like nerd scientist guy who's never going to mount to anything, blah blah blah. And then he also has the Hulk, so poor Bruce was getting it at both ends. He didn't have the benefit of a good side with Daddy-O, so that was a kind of thing. Yeah, so the Red Hulk's a little different. He's got a lot of the Hulk's abilities, but he has a thermal component to his power set, and which is interesting because there's another little caveat here: is this isn't the first time that Ross has had superpowers. Ross was at one point in time merged with a being called Zax, I believe is his name. He's an all electrical creature, and he could travel through electrical lines, all kinds of stuff, an entire electrical entity, and he was merged with Ross. So this isn't the first time Ross has been kind of a powered individual, and with like Zax was kind of bestial himself. He was kind of violent and not he didn't speak. So it was similar kind of monstrous power set rather than just an enhanced human. So that's the kind of the general breakdown of the Red Hulk.
Yeah, so he's got a he's got a lot of the same power set that the Hulk has, except it sounds like he hits his peak and then like gets worse over time, whereas Banner just exponentially he can just get more and more powerful with the matter he gets.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, as I said, he's kind of in and out. He kind of almost fits into an anti-hero role too sometimes, where he has been aligned with the good guys, but he's also kind of, I don't know. If they ended up wiping Ross out of the comics in some way, I wouldn't be upset with it. I've never liked the character. He's just an ass. Even in the MCU, I hated him. I just
Fair
can't
enough.
stand.
That means
Red,
they wrote the character well, right?
yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
because Red Hulk
So,
was part of the Avengers at one point, wasn't he?
yeah, he's been an Avenger. He's been. I think he was part of the Thunderbolts. He's been in a few different um, teams. But he's
I
been
read
through the
something
gamut
about
of that kind of stuff.
Control. He Dr. Reed Richards wrote a paper about needing to defend the country, so old Thaddeus Ross got together with Howard Stark and scientist, well-renowned Dr. Bolivar Trask. And then
We love
Wayne
him.
rolls his eye. That
Yeah,
guy.
we love him.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely some sordid people in his past. But sometimes you got to break a couple eggs, I suppose.
Yeah, it's also the hypocrisy of he has a lot of hypocrisy for the raging Hulk was always his it's a monster, it's a monster. He literally becomes that thing. So that was kind of
Hey, but
a
he
unique
gets
thing
to
with
keep
him.
his brain the entire time, which is dangerous when you have a military strategist who's able to turn into a big giant monster.
Yeah, and he does still have uh, a rage to him though. He's not as calm, cool, and collected as just as I mean, Thaddeus could be. He's an ass, but he could be, he could be calm. Red Hulk is definitely an exacerbation of his personality, a caricature of his personality, a blow
Very
up.
deregulated
Yeah.
Bolivar or
Yeah.
Thaddeus Ross.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Red
that just
Hulk.
verified he was part of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, the Red Hulk made his first appearance in Hulk Volume 2 in 2008, and they really didn't say who he was until issue 22 when the Red She-Hulk called him father. And then in issue 23 is when they actually said, yep, he's Thunderbolt Ross. But that was a pretty cool mind blow that the Red She-Hulk was Betty Ross, his daughter. Yeah. So that was fun how they incorporated all that. And it was, 2.5 years before anyone knew who the Red Hulk was.
Yeah, it was like I said, he was shrouded in mystery for a while there. And it's kind of interesting that with going into Betty a little bit, it's kind of interesting that of all the Hulks, most of the time, it's only been Bruce that has had variations of his personas in becoming different Hulks. And Betty actually is the Red Hulk, but Betty was also the Harpy, which is so her Hulk versions have changed too. And the Harpy always acts kind of dejected, kind of or rejected almost, and it's almost like the part of her that has been that Bruce. A lot of times, like Bruce is gone. Bruce is like she gets left behind. Bruce is off doing this with the Hulk. The Hulk consumes his life in so many ways, and Betty is really second fiddle to the Hulk, which sounds odd, but when it comes to time and energy, she is. And then Bruce himself, because his emotions have become Hulk's. He himself is very stoic and almost cold. So she doesn't have, even when she has her husband, she doesn't really have an emotional connection or as often. So the Harpy is almost childlike and in desperate for attention in some ways when I've seen her written out. It's kind of neat. So
that's kind of cool how they how they made that. So it's like, okay, this is the unmet need of the character. So that's how we're going to portray her. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, there've been some. I said there's. I love that they have different Hulks. I mean, you do have not just. I don't mean Bruce Banners, but there's been other Hulks as well. Rick Jones, who's like the immortal sidekick of the MCU. He's been a sidekick of all of the big ones. From Captain America to Captain Marvel to in the Hulk himself. He's actually responsible for. He's actually responsible for the creation of the Hulk. He was on a dare out playing a guitar out in a Jeep in the middle of a testing field where they were going to be testing gamma bombs, and Bruce saw him, ran out there to save him, and pushes him into a shelter like a foxhole type thing to cover him, and Bruce gets hit with the blast, and that's the creation of the Hulk. So he's ultimately responsible. It was his teenage misbehavior that caused the Hulk, but he himself he himself becomes a Hulk for a while, which was kind of cool too.
In the Incredible Hulk cartoon, they weaved it a little differently, where Rick Jones was on a mini bike and it crashed in the site. So Bruce Banner ran out, grabbed him, pulled him back to safety, and then got blasted with the gamma rays. And I guess there was other creatures, scorpions and spiders and stuff like that were in the blast too. So now we have gamma created insects.
Yeah,
so that was a pretty cool spin on that as well.
they a few times they did that, like, and for a while there was a series of comics. I forget exactly when they were, but where he'd been tracking down anybody or anything that had been affected by that gamma thing, and then he started discovering things that weren't at that site that had the same kind of gamma exposure, and found out that there were other tests of the bombs, other usage of them,
Yeah.
and he didn't know. So this had happened in other places outside of that location. So that was kind of a good series. There's section 2, but
And as
The
researching more of Green Hulk and Red Hulk, there's Purple Hulk, there's Brown Hulk, there's Orange Hulk. There's a whole bunch of them.
yeah, and the Hulk originally was gray.
Yes.
The first two issues of the Hulk, he was gray. And then it was actually a coloring thing that altered all of that. It wasn't like somebody decided ultimately to do that. It was a coloring thing. So that was kind of a cool little thing there. But
I just see some business savvy person at Marvel like, we got too much of this green ink. What are we gonna do, guys?
but I like how they brought the Great Hulk back though, because the Mr. Fix-It personality of the Hulk is one of my favorite personalities of him. He's this like mafioso gangster Hulk living in Vegas, and was it Marlo Chandler? What was his girlfriend's name? I think it's Marlo. I know her first name was Marlo, but can't remember her last name offhand. But she was pretty great. She ended up with Rick Jones. They may have even gotten married. But she ended up being a character for a while too. But I don't know. I just really liked the whole Mr. Fix-It years. He's not as strong. He used his brain. He's like criminally intelligent. It was a great line for a while there.
Was that the Ant-Man movie that they had Smart Hulk in?
What's that?
The Ant-Man movie. Was that the one that they brought Smart Hulk in?
Yeah, they've had Professor Hulk appear in a couple of them. He was in the She-Hulk series.
I guess I wasn't a fan of Smart Hulk.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I'm kind of split. I'm kind of split on it because in the comics, when they merged Banner and Hulk and they kind of had this small Hulk, he wasn't as like nerdy. Like they kind of made the Hulk nerdy in this. Like they have him wearing his glasses. Like really, he's
yeah.
I don't know. They're going for an aesthetic there that I think was unnecessary. In the comics, he still had to fight a little bit of anger. If you got him worked up, but he was working with a group called the Pantheon. It was he was much more sophisticated, but he was also still the Hulk. It wasn't like Bruce Banner strong. That's basically what they did in the movies. They made a strong Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
There was no Hulk. They just made a strong Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
So in the comics, it was an actual merge. So there was some Hulk in there, and there was some Banner in there. But my favorite versions of the Hulk are absolutely when it's different personalities. Like they think of themselves separately. Puny Banner and Hulk.
Yeah,
so.
I do like the idea of having a Hulk that worked on himself and got more at peace and was able to merge with that entity. But that said, the way the MCU handled it, it didn't feel very satisfying. It didn't feel like it was earned in a way. There wasn't really like a close plot. It kind of felt like just a toss aside, like, oh hey, we're doing this thing now, and it's just like, oh okay, I guess we're on for that, which is fine. But I guess I just would have liked to see a little bit of that development, or a little bit more of that development in the movies.
Yeah. I feel like they felt compelled to nerf him. I mean, because I mean, this is like literally that was one of my only real complaints about the end game and stuff like that, is how the Hulk is now like just not showing up. He's just nervous about Thanos and about, I don't know. I just didn't like the whole dynamic, and basically they just didn't want to have to. They needed to nerf him. They needed to be more vulnerable, so they needed the Hulk out of the equation, and I just kind of disagreed with the way that they had done that. But did you guys read about the Green Door at all? Do you know about the Green Door?
No.
So the Green Door is a barrier inside of like different layers of the multiverse and in hell and everything else. But after death, like the mutates of gamma radiation cross into the below place through the Green Door, and it's really gotten to be like that's where Hulks reside. It's almost like the White Room we were talking about with Phoenix. It's the Hulk equivalent of that type of thing. So different versions of the Hulk have kind of come through the Green Door and working on the Green Door. It's kind of interesting. It's actually owned by certain people. Like I think Betty owns it right now.
Oh,
So
it's like its own little pocket thing, like the White Room.
Yeah, it's like yes, exactly.
I'd
It's
hate to be the
interesting. It's
drywall in that room. My gosh.
yeah, no doubt.
You just would
But
give up.
Yeah, at that point, there's so many patches.
Yeah.
Is it more drywall? Is it more patch? What is it?
yeah, they introduced a character called the One Below All, and I have not researched him much more, but he actually influences all gamma mutates. So that for a while, it seems like Marvel has done this thing now where you have Spider-Verse, a Hulkverse, a Phoenix-verse, where you have all you have this like way that all these powered people are connected. And I don't know if I like that. I don't know that I like now because with Spider-Man he had what was that villain? There was a villain that would like he was hunting through and killing anybody with spider powers because spider powers are actually a linked ability. It isn't just this kid getting mutated off of a spider. Now it's spider powers are somehow this cosmic power that happens in all different kinds of multiverses and are linked together. They just seem to be doing that same dynamic in a lot of different ways, like the Phoenixes, for example. And now we have the Hulk Green Door, and
So who did it first?
I believe the Spider-Mans
I wouldn't
did it
be
first.
surprised. Yeah,
I believe. Like yeah, so I mean the Green Door is 4 or 5 years old, and I think the Spider-Man ones are long before that. I know they're the Phoenix ones aren't that old. But yeah, so it gets into that dynamic, and I just feel it feels reused. I think it feels like why does everything have to be connected? Why isn't it okay that Peter Parker's a one-off? That he's this kid that had a freak accident. I like the idea of a freak accident making someone stand out different.
Yeah.
Now he's like destined and had to be this thing and had to become this thing, and it gets I don't know, it gets a little trite in my in my book.
It's
So
just a freak accident.
yeah, exactly. It's who I honestly kind of did it first is the Flash.
Okay.
Flash.
That's fair.
It's like
Yeah, Flash.
Yeah, the Flash was originally got his powers. A freak electrical storm struck through the window. He was working with chemicals. They all splashed on him, and the electricity, boom, 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 gives him speed powers. Now we've got the Speed Force and the Speed Burst and all these different, abilities. And that's really where I feel like that idea started, where you've got this cosmic connection, this almost string theory connection.
Yeah.
That the powers are based on. The powers are based on some kind of universal truth or universal connection. And I don't know. It is one thing, or happening once. That's kind of cool. But now everybody, I've got the Explodey boy. I got the what was that kid's name?
Exceptional.
Exceptional. Got the exceptional verse, the entire universe. We didn't even know it was there. We didn't even know it was there because they just keep exploding.
Yeah.
They live in such a small amount. We didn't realize that there was an exceptional. Every universe has one. I don't know. Somebody's trying to harness the cosmic ability of the exceptional so they can use them as weapons.
The exceptional force. They just
the exceptional force. Exceptional bomb. They just start raining this kid from different microverses.
They're like, all right, we need 616, we need 617, we need 618. We'll grab all the different universes exceptionals, and we're gonna drop them on them.
You can see these torpedoes with a glass window, and it's got that poor kid inside of it, and it's just numbered with whatever universe they came out of. You got the 616 torpedo, you got the whatever torpedo. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, it's just I don't know. It gets kind of funny. So
fair enough. Yeah, I think so I guess with Thunderbolt Ross, he started off, he's an Air Force general, but I think early in
Mm.
the comics they kind of screwed his uniform up a decent amount to make
Oh
it
yeah.
look like he was in the army instead, which is interesting. And sometimes like the troops that he'll work with, it won't be Air Force guys. It ends up being like the wrong branches. So Marvel's had a couple slip ups with that as far as the character goes, but I think canonically he is a Air Force general.
I see. Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. And different writers, I'm sure that a lot of these comic book writers have no idea, about military branches or anything like that. So I'm sure they're just writing from their view. Oh, he's military, he's army, whatever. I'm sure that happens all the time. Different writers make characters significantly different. They can alter that type of thing. It's I don't know. It's kind of funny how bad they mess it up sometimes.
Yeah.
I've seen them do that in shows too, though, where they have the super techie guy, the super hacker dude or whatever, and he's going at it. He's just mashing the keyboard. My best example, I can't remember what series it was, but they were like, the guy's like, see if you can get this off the hard drive, and he hands the hacker dude the power supply unit out of a PC. It's most it's unmistakably the PC unit. And the guy's like, yeah, and he's like plugging it in. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like there's nobody in the room. There's not a camera guy there that was like, "Hey, dipshit, that's the power supply. That's not a hard drive."
We have zero
So
hobbyists in these
yeah,
television show creation
Right.
processes.
like
My God.
they do it all the time. When comics do it, shows do it. And then just like, oh, it breaks. It really breaks it. Like I can suspend disbelief in so many ways for fantastical things, but when they do something so blatantly just dumb. I just
Yeah.
can't handle it. It ruins the whole environment for me.
Yep.
So, but
Yep. That
it,
it's those little things that unfortunately sometimes yeah, they just didn't really didn't do the research at least a little bit. But that is what it is.
yeah,
Made for a good story.
Exactly.
right, right.
Or it made
Yeah,
it for guys like us to notice and talk about it. You know what?
Yep, there we go.
Air Force General, all of a sudden he's in the Army.
yeah. It's what was his little sidekick dude that hung out with him for a bit? The guy who was kind of in for Betty too. What was his name?
Oh, Glenn Talbot.
Glenn Talbot. Yeah, yeah. I
Major
couldn't think of
Talbot. He
it.
was in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Talbot was a pain in the butt too. So,
Like Talbot. He was.
well, in the comics, he was just that guy that wanted Betty. He was just an
Yeah.
annoying, like, I don't know. He was bullying on Bruce and getting roughed up by the Hulk. It was about
Yeah.
it.
That's
So
got to make him feel horrible. Like, he wants her so bad. No, I love you, Hulk.
yeah,
Forever alone. Poor guy.
Yeah.
forever alone.
Poor
I was really
Major
kind of
Talbot.
surprised that there wasn't that we were talking about Red Hulk because of Captain America, it's a new movie, etc. I was really quite surprised that the Hulk didn't have any kind of cameo or the after credit or in any way, shape, or form. I mean, literally, this movie was a sequel. This movie was a sequel to the original Hulk. There's just no one. It finished all that stuff out, and I was kind of shocked that he wasn't a part of it. But I mean, to have Betty in there and not him just is odd to me. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes with with the things. You know, not to give too much away from the movie, but who Ruth Bad is. Did you look that up, Wayne, when you saw the movie? The girl that said she was from the Red Room, like the widow and stuff.
I
She
didn't look that up.
she's
No.
she's Sabra. She's a Israeli she's Mossad in the comics, but she's like the Mossad superhero. She's a really cool character. She's kind of obscure. Nobody really knows who she's never had. I don't know that she's ever had her own comics, but she started out in Hulk comics. So it was really kind of canonical that they ended up having her, and she's been around since I think the early '80s, so she's been around for 40 years. But it was kind of interesting um, that they brought her in and made her in part of the universe too, because Sabra's a cool character. I've always liked her in the comics. But yeah, it was good. In the Hulk, like, it just opens up all the different things for the Hulks now. I really want to know what they're going to do. You know, we've got now in the universe they introduced Scar at the end of
She-Hulk.
what was it? She-Hulk. Yep. So you have Scar. The leader's running around now. You know, Stearns is running around. We've got the Red Hulk. We don't know about Betty if there's anything with Betty. I mean, now that they have now that what's her face is back in the that Betty's in the comics or in the movies again, and it's still what's her name head singer Aerosmith's daughter.
Liv
Um,
Tyler?
Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler
Oh,
played.
oh, oh.
Yeah, so it's Liv Tyler still. So um,
Yeah.
so she's back in there. So there's
Oh.
potential for a major star to become Red Hulk, her Red Hulk. So there's a lot of different kinds of ways they could go and stuff like that. So we'll see. I'm kind of curious as how they take it. We've kind of done the Battle World of Hulk, with in the Thor movie, where he's the gladiatorial Hulk. But we've got a lot of roads that we can go down. I mean, we haven't even touched on uh, um, his monstrous form. What's his monstrous form called?
Warbreaker Hulk? Is that it? Or
No, he hasn't. There's another one that's really nasty. Devil Hulk. We haven't talked about the Devil Hulk. It's like a malevolent uh, version of him. And he's nasty. He looks nasty. It's a cool looking. He comes in different forms, but um he's a nasty version of the Hulk because Bruce Banner at one point in time was dying of Lou Gehrig's disease. Yeah, which was kind of interesting. But that's when the Devil Hulk came out and came about. And you know that the Hulk's immortal now too, right? Um, he's tried to kill himself several times as Banner,
Yeah.
and the Hulk always stops him. And they even had like a funeral for him because he was under control and he'd worked it out with Hawkeye to have a special arrow that would kill him in as long if he started to transform again, and he survived even that. So they even call, I think his comic titles are now the Immortal Hulk. So he comes back from anything. So we'll see how that happens. between him and Wolverine, I don't know who's been who's more immortal in some ways. So, but um, but yeah, the different deaths and rebirths and everything else. So it's become he, like I said, unkillable. It's because they have I was kind of like listing them out too. You've got the Gray Hulk, Joe Fixit. You got the Savage Hulk, which is your typical Hulk, your original kind of mindless whatever. And then there's another Hulk that is completely mindless, like irrational, bestial animal type thing. The Savage Hulk he's savage, but he's still cognizant. He's still he's childlike maybe, but he's aware. But the mindless Hulk is completely mindless. And you have the Devil Hulk, and you get Professor Hulk. And then you got these other weird off ones like there's a Guilt Hulk, and you get the World Breaker Hulk. Um, there's just all kinds, and I think Doc Samson even became a Hulk for a while too. There's just so many versions of him now. You've almost got a Hulk for every one of his emotions, which is a really interesting take on the entire thing. So
yeah.
so
It is really neat how they, because the Incredible Hulk came around in the '60s. I mean, he's been around a very long time. really just once we hit after the turn of the century that they've introduced a lot of these new Hulks.
Yeah, he was pretty. You're right. He was pretty static. He was
Yeah.
pretty static up until like '90s comics, but that's when the '90s were when the comics really started kicking off and again becoming. They were much more mainstream and everything else. And when they did that, I think that's what about the time that they did the merging with the Pantheon and everything else with that, because that's when they started doing things like they had the Hulk Busters. Doc, you don't know? Did you read about Doc Samson at all? Do you know who Doc Samson is? He's an irradiate. He's a gamma powered hero, but he's also a psychiatrist. So he has been working with the Hulk. He'd worked with the Hulk multiple times and he's the one that was responsible for merging the personalities and giving him control so that he could become a merged version of the thing. I think he was part of the thing too, where they separated the Hulk from Banner, but then they found they couldn't exist separately.
Yeah.
The Hulk actually started to dissipate, and Banner was dying. That's actually in the comics. The Hulk was growing, but he was dissipating as he grew. He was getting thinner and thinner, more intangible. So that was they had to remerge him in order to keep it around. So, and if you really want to read what happens if the Hulk goes batshit crazy, you should read the all about the Maestro. It's a future version of the Hulk. It's where Old Man Logan comes from.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty
universe.
brutal Hulk.
Yeah.
That disgusting creature, man. I mean, he's eating children. He's like I said, Maestro is really something else. But he should be avoided at all costs. We should keep friends with the Hulk because I think he literally was like ruled the planet, and it was just because that whole old man version of everybody, that future that they had, that a future Hawkeye, and even Rick Jones was part of the whole thing there, and he was kind of working against the Maestro and working with him for a while because it's a really interesting take on the Hulk. He has children that are kind of. It's almost like they almost make the kids like. You ever see those movies where they have the Hills Have Eyes, where you've got this like really inbred hillbilly family that had this like mutated kind of funky.
Just a couple minor birth defects, just a couple.
Yeah. They had that kind of vibe, like they were just like these like dumb, incredibly powerful Hulks.
That's little Timmy Hulk. He has a cross eye and a little bit of an overbite, but he still does a good job,
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, but yeah. So Maestro was, and he killed most of the heroes of that time too. So, yeah, it's a lot of different.
Hulk I don't know too much about, but the Hulk Vereen.
The Hulk Vereen.
Oh, that's a whole different person. Yeah,
that's amazing. The Hulk Vereen, and there's also a Venom Hulk, Spider Hulk, Hulk Pool. They really did a lot with him.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, the Hulk Vereen is actually is called Weapon H.
Yeah,
he's a designed biological. Like who in their right mind, like the heroes of the Earth are. The Hulk is so uncontrollable. The heroes of the Earth, like, you know what? We're just gonna blow the Hulk off into space. That's how he ended up on the battle world, or what was the name of the planet?
The car, right?
Yeah, yes.
The car.
So that's how he ended up there. I mean, so they don't. You know what we should do? We should take him and merge him up with this feral beast Wolverine, because that's a good idea. Yeah, the Weapon H is. I actually kind of wish they hadn't done that. As cool as he is, as neat as it is, like that, it's like, I don't know. Like, we already have the Hulk. He's the.
Well, now you have the Hulk Vereen.
Yeah, now you have the Hulk Vereen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hulk Pool.
I guess
Hulkerman.
Hulkerman. I just can't. I can't do it. I'm like, why is that? Why is that a thing?
And then I also liked that the fact that he was one of Apocalypse's horsemen, the
Was
god
he?
of
Yes.
war, the horseman of war. And Apocalypse had a whole bunch of different characters over the years be his part of his horsemen. So it's that was pretty cool in its own.
Yeah, I always thought that was a great one. Hulk is one of
Yeah.
the horsemen, like especially of war.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just just think of that. If you picked apart some of Apocalypse's horsemen, if you've got Archangel as death and the Hulk as war, I mean that
Well,
alone
at
is
one
just
point you had Wolverine as death. You had Gambit as death.
yeah. I still think that Archangel was the best death. I mean, he's angelic to begin with, and having him be the angel of death is kind of great. And they had the what are the four horsemen? You got war,
Pestilence, famine.
death,
Pestilence. Yeah.
pestilence, and famine.
Yeah.
And the original horsemen, they had there was a character that actually like two characters that already existed. One of them could give you diseases, and the other one could emaciate you. And I thought those were great characters to have as horsemen, and those characters existed beforehand. Um, I'm trying to remember what they were called beforehand.
It's always great
Um,
though when they find a character that just fits a role so well. I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah, I
having
really do that.
Wolverine be the Horseman of Death, that's pretty badass. You know?
Yeah,
That's how
Um,
Wolverine got his adamantium claws back.
yeah. I mean, Archangel getting his wings back. I mean, so cool, so
And
good.
then Gambit was dead,
excuse me.
and that's Apocalypse brought Gambit back to be Death.
Yep. I don't remember who the original Famine was. I think she may have even been Famine, but
According
she was a
to
great. She was one of the
X-Men 90s,
Morlocks.
yeah, the X-Men animated series had her in as one of the Morlocks.
Yep.
Oh, the Morlocks.
That's
Ugh.
where I got the majority of my X-Men knowledge is from the animated series.
It's a good source.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I mean,
they did
it's a
a
great
good job
version.
with not steering too far away from the actual comics. They did they made up Morph, which Morph is a great character.
And they kind of based personality wise he wasn't, but there was Mimic,
Yes.
who could use he could actually make and take on the powers of the other X-Men. He was kind of interesting. He'd have Cyclops' blast and Angel's wings and Beast's hands. He was almost like the super adaptoid of the mutant world. So he was an interesting character. Very short lived. And that's a character they don't really ever go back to. Some characters, like almost every character, no matter what happened to them, sometimes they come back. And there are some characters they just don't. Like take the original Captain Marvel. He's a cornerstone. He's one of my favorite characters. A cornerstone of the Marvel universe. The entire thing. He's Captain Marvel, and he died of cancer. And they just left. He's other versions of him have showed up. From different universes or whatever. But always it's short lived, and he's just kind of gone, which I kind of like in a way because it allows him to be this legendary thing, and he earned his thing, and he went out in such a way like the death of Captain Marvel. That comic was phenomenal. I mean, the whole Marvel universe is like at his funeral, at his bedside, as this hero, the hero of heroes, is dying from something that is has real world impact. It was kind of iconic, and I'm glad they didn't cheapen it by doing everything else. I mean, you got Phyla Vell, who is Captain Marvel, and what was Gina's Val, which was his son. So there's people that have run into the role, and obviously Carol Danvers, but the people have assumed the role, but there has not been a Marvel, since then. So kind of interesting how they don't bring some people back and they do bring other people. My whole point of that is mimic him, these characters that they just never bring it back, and everybody else comes back and back, even ones we don't want to. They come back and back and back and back.
I do like that finality for a character though. Like it, once a character's run through their storylines and hit all the big points that the person who created that character, once they've gotten that use, sometimes I think it's okay to put that character to bed to make room for new heroes and new stuff. So
Marvel's not good with that. They like to resurrect.
No, yeah, nothing is less permanent than a Marvel death.
It's like Thaddeus Ross. He died a couple times and he comes back.
Yeah, I mean literally they made it. They made mutants for a while. They're just, you got killed. We'll just grow you again. We'll bring out your pod. We'll have you done by the 5. I'm like,
Mr. Sinister will bring you back. Apocalypse will bring you back.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that in video games. I don't know if we were talking in cast or in person, but that's one of my biggest problems with some video games is there's no reason not to die. There's no reason not to try something dangerous because you just respawn with all your stuff. Like, oh, well, go on, we'll try it again with some better stuff later. I'm like, I liked it better when there's, say your stuff is left there, or some games, you're penalized for death. There should be a penalty. There should be some kind of consequence. Yeah. Even if they made this resurrection thing, maybe when they come back, maybe they have lesser power. Maybe every time the copy was never as good as the original. Yeah. So that would really change characters. It would allow them characters to grow. Imagine if these Omega level mutants go through a reincarnation and they're no longer powerful as they were. It would be an interesting dynamic to see how they handle now being less powerful than they were.
Yeah, and even that arc where they get back to their former glory, just by training or going through the trials and tribulations that the original body maybe had to go through, right?
I remember Seraph playing 7 Days to Die with you. If you die, you have to cross a map that probably takes you 5 to 10 minutes to get your stuff back.
Yeah. You better start hiking because you're traveling a kilometer away, and now you get to a point where you can put a bedroll down, you're good to go. But survival crafting, Wayne. I know that's not your. I know it's not your genre, buddy. That's okay.
Like, oh my gosh, my stuff's way over there. I gotta go get it.
Motherfucker.
I love that. Like it gives me real fear. Like I'm building something, I'm building it up, and I'm at the ultimate. Like, I play a lot of Ark, and all of a sudden I got this dino crashing in, and I'm like, oh man, I'm vulnerable. I know I can't do it. So you can outswim some of the land ones, but then you're out there and there's either a piranha or rays or something attacking you in the water. Now your body's in the water, and I'm like, damn it, man.
There's even a harder concept, which like games like Rust, where the game is still going even when you're not online, and you have to worry about somebody in the middle of the night coming to your base and ransacking it.
I do that with Ark. When I bring up my Ark servers, it's a continual server. Your character's actually physically still in the game. You're just sleeping. So you have to build some kind of structure to protect your character because you're physically there. It's just like I've gone into my buddies' camps and like drug their bodies around just to be and put them in different positions just to mess with them.
I didn't leave that guy there.
But I love that dynamic. I like a static world where things are happening. You come back, you wake back up and entering the world, and the world has changed a bit. Like something's different than it was before. I like that.
Yeah, hey, with Power World, what you get away with on that game is you just let the game idle for a little bit. You have your little pals going around the base fixing things and creating stuff and just doing the work for you at a point. You can automate your base. So yeah, I mean there's a lot of different ways to enjoy those types of games, but yeah, it's I do miss some games. I do wish there was more of a stake to death, but on the flip side to that, I also hate being like super hard punished for a death in a game. Like I want to have a little bit of like realism, a little bit of like I shouldn't die, but also I'm getting to the point where I'm like I value my time too much to walk 2 kilometers back to a freaking body.
I get that. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that time, the time sink. But like I just the memories of some of these games, like I mentioned before, I played the old school EverQuest, the original EverQuest, and it was one of those games when you died, your whatever your stuff's still on your body,
Yeah.
but there's no instancing in EverQuest. The whole world is happening, so the respawns happen, etc. So not only is whatever killed you still there next to your body, but everything you killed on the way down to it has respawned by now. So you're going to have to fight all the way back down to your body and get that stuff in your backup stuff, in your backup armor. And you might die again, and then you're on your tertiary set, and you're lucky if you have that. But they did some cool stuff in the game to make it so that you could alleviate it. Rogues could stealth down there, being careful around anything they could see invisible, and grab your body and drag it back up. And necromancers could summon corpses, so you could actually go out to one of the plains if depending on what expansion you were in, but or if we go to one of the common gathering places and literally just yell out, "Hey, I'm trying to hire a necromancer to summon my body somewhere," because if you didn't have one at the party or your necromancer's down there. But it was so gut clenching. I just missed that gut clenching thing. Like, we can't die. We cannot die, guys. We can't do it. And so we have to figure it out. So crowd control becomes ultimately important in managing resources. It isn't just that Zerg. I hate the Zerg.
Yeah.
I want that. We have to think. Even Warcraft. I loved playing an Ice Mage. This glass cannon, but I can manage things. So I've got this guy locked down. This guy's a sheep. This guy's frozen. My buddy's over there tanking the one thing while I'm locking everything down. People are doing damage. You got to be careful not to break the crowd control with any kind of splash damage. It was just so much strategy, and it was great. It was great. And nowadays, I feel like it's just go in, figure out how not to stand in the fire. Don't stand in the fire. That's the biggest rule with half of the dynamics of the characters. And then figure out the timing. Figure out the rotation of the creature's ability. He goes through this certain cycle, phase 1, phase 2. It's very methodical, and there's no chaos factor to it. There's no oh shit factor. And that's what I miss.
I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of times I've had my butt puckering when it was getting down to the 7th day on 7 Days to Die, or every 7 days you have a swarm of zombies that know exactly where you are at in the world, and they will come relentlessly after you. And man, you're trying to get the last thing upgraded on the base, you're trying to get the last door put on. You see it's like 11:59, and you're like, okay, we got a minute, and it is on. And
I love that game. I love the AI, how the AI kind of learns in that game. Because I built a tunnel system so that I could, when they were attacking my base, I could flank them. I came down, came underneath, came up, and do that, and it worked like a charm the first time. The next time I did it, I went down there, and they were tunneling down into my tunnel.
Oh yeah, yep.
They were they were coming for my tunnel. They knew I was in there. I'm like, oh no, I'm trapped in this small space with the zombies.
the memes in some of the 7 Days groups I'm in, it's just zombies with hard hat helmets on. Like, they are construction experts. If you build a base that's like on platforms, they know the block to destroy to destroy your entire base. Like, if you have too much support on the other supports, you'll have parts of your base just break off, and they'll start hitting those supports. That they don't care at all. And that gets really scary when you build your horde base where you're planning on hauling up against the zombies, along with your crafting base where you have all of your equipment. Because if they take that base out, man, it's like day 100 or whatever. You've been playing that long. It's like it's game over. Like you aren't coming back from that, or at least it's going to be a real difficult time coming back from that. A lot of time gets sucked out. It's brutal. It can be brutal.
It is. I love it.
A lot of
I don't know.
I lessons
love
learned
that.
playing 7 Days to Die.
Yeah.
Always build your crafting base away from your horde base.
Yeah, I like to be in part of the action too. So I was always trying to slow them down so that I could like not just kill them with my weapon or my traps or bombs or everything I set up, but actually slow them down with things so that I could take them out. Have people staged in certain points, and I don't know, that panic when that one gets through, because once they get through certain points, you're like, he's inside the perimeter. He's inside the perimeter.
He's gotten through the first airlock. We gotta figure something out. Everybody get out of the base. We can't lose it. Like,
love it.
So many times I've spent
so
the
good.
entire night just running around from zombies, trying not to get caught because my base already took a crap.
Yeah, I do really enjoy that clench when it's coming.
Yeah.
So, and what were the, like? I haven't played it in a few years, but those heavily armored like bomber guys that come.
Yeah, the
They were always
demolishers.
like,
they do so much damage every time they hit. They do tons of damage, and then if you hit just a little spot on their chest, they will explode, and they blow up entire blocks, no problem. Like when they explode, and it's awful. That's when it gets really scary, when you start seeing those guys.
Almost like when you used to stream that on your channel, and
oh yeah,
you had the different like I could go in there and send wolves after you, hawks.
Yeah,
I always had fun with that.
I had the Twitch integration set up so that when I was playing 7 Days to Die, people in chat could put like /spawn wolf, and I'd just be like chilling there, and they'd use whatever, points that they earn from killing players and stuff like that. And I'm just sitting there, and randomly a zombie barrel show up fucking behind me in my freaking crafting base. It's ridiculous.
I had no idea that was a thing. That's fantastic.
I love
that. That's so good.
I love
because we have the right kind of terrible friends for that.
Yeah, right. I'm in the middle of a mission, right? I'm running around through this building. It's like a tier 5 mission, the hardest mission possible, right? In this entire factory, right? We're having a great time. We're really getting some progress done. And you know what? I think I might just get this objective done. But somebody put in a command that makes my forward go backwards and my backwards go forward. And I fell from the top floor of a silo and landed 5,000 feet below. And that
go back up.
And that watcher, they got rewarded for doing that to me.
That's fantastic.
They have like a trippy command where like your vision turns into like an acid trip, and you're like trying to walk, and it's like, this is very difficult. This is so hard right now. But yeah, when you play with people on that too, like everybody gets affected by it too, which is fun.
I did not know that was a thing. That's Are there any other games that have integration like that?
There are some games that have a little bit of integration, but man, 7 Days to Die knocked it out of the park as far as their Twitch integration and getting that set up. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It's always a good time. You can like spot. So there is a pay for option where you can send like a swarm of fucking snakes to show up just randomly. Like, oh, somebody donated $1.50, and like, I'll see maybe like $1 of that. 7 Days to Die creators get like 50 cents of that, and just like a dozen snakes are in my base now, and I'm getting eaten up. My freaking ankles.
It was fun.
It was fun. Guys get me all the time.
Then the zombies and the bears.
Yep.
The zombie bears are no joke.
No,
in that game. Like, I can't imagine them just standing there all the. I'm like, no.
Because every once in a while you play with other people that didn't expect other stuff, so it was fun to just send like
see the reaction. People were just yelling like, "Oh man!" It takes a special kind of evil to send vultures to somebody in that game. I hate the vultures so much. The trick with the vultures is though you stay at full health and they don't come after you. But as soon as you're injured, they'll start
Yeah.
coming after you.
That's crazy.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh yeah, that's good time.
Yeah, I love that. That's hilarious. I might have to try that out because I haven't played 7 Days to Die, and I know it's been 3-4 years at least.
Yeah, Laura's been
That's
talking
good to get
about maybe getting a server at some point. So if we do that, I'll let you know. They
Have they expanded their the towns? Like, do you find the same buildings in other towns still?
So yes, but it's a lot better because there's a lot more buildings. And the way they set it up
Okay.
is there's city blocks now too, where you'll have sidewalks, street lamps. They did the official release for the game, but there are a lot more properties, so you're less likely to run into the same ones over and over again. But every one of them's hand created by the developers. Like none
Yeah,
of
they're really cool. I just noticed
Yeah.
when I ended up in a new territory. I'm like, wait, I know where the secret doors are in here because I've been in this building before.
Yep. Oh,
So
trust me. There's been a couple times where maybe it's not the most honest way to play, but I've been in this POI before, place of interest, and
yeah,
I know exactly where the loot's at. It's on the second story. Well,
yep.
maybe if I make a ladder on the outside, climb up there, and then use my use my weapon to break through the wall, I can just go straight
Yeah,
for the
there was
main
one
loot and get out of there.
Yeah, there was one particular house I remember that had a secret room towards the entrance off to the left, and I would often raid that secret room, and then I made that my room, like my cubby. That's where I kept all my stuff. It came with a steel door originally, so I just fortified that room and made that room almost impenetrable. I was never near that room whenever the horde was coming. So
The one time we set up a server with a couple friends for that game, and the
uh,
goal, the plan was we were all going to make our own little bases to withstand the horde night, right? So we all get our
uh,
little bases set up. Everybody's ready. Turns nighttime. The moon's it's bright red outside. You hear the zombies come flying, and every single zombie went after one of my friends. Not a single one went after anyone else. All of them just swarmed him specifically.
I seem to remember there's a trigger for that. There's something that can make you
I think
a
part of it
target
has to
over the
do
others.
if your level is higher, your game stage is higher than other players, you'll get targeted a little bit more. But I also think the base wasn't built as well, so there were less obstacles in the way between him
I
and the
see.
zombies. So those zombies, they got engineering degrees. They know what doors they can break through. That they know who they can get. So yeah,
They got the hard hats.
yeah, right.
Now you're making me want to play it again.
Yeah, that's a good one. Any good games for
And
you,
how
Mr. Fuengo?
Oh, still loving Dead by Daylight. I'm the 2v8 is
2v8's good.
I absolutely love it. I mean, I get on there anytime I can. The whole Indiana Jones is so fun, but I haven't had a chance to play it much.
Yeah.
Have either of you guys been in any rivals at all?
Not since no, it's been a while for my Marvel Rivals.
It's been a minute for me, and I heard there was some controversy with Rivals recently.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're laying people off.
Oh,
really?
Did they ever come out with the X-Men like they were saying they were going to?
Well, they did the
Not
Fantastic
yet. They're still in the
Four.
Fantastic Four
Yeah, they're
thing.
doing that right now. But
Okay.
so they laid people off, and like this is the most successful game like of this year at least, right? Massive success from this game. So there's a lot of controversy because people are mad that they're laying people off. Like it's a business decision. I get to a degree,
Right.
but you can't tell me that they can't find something for these guys to do. I mean they produced.
They closed the entire U.S. support division.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Wow.
Yep. Developers and it's been a big buzzing issue for the gaming community, and I don't like it so much, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, because they just brought out the Torch and The thing yesterday. Yeah, it just came out. Yeah, it was yesterday. Huh.
Eh,
That's not good news. Because I love the game. My
yeah,
time's been very minimal lately, so I haven't had a chance to play. In the little bit of time I do have, I've been trying to finish up a Baldur's Gate run.
yeah.
So we'll have to see. Huh.
Oh,
See
Wayne,
what
but
that means. But
2v8 has been a lot of fun in Dead by Daylight.
Oh
Um,
goodness, yes.
I got
Especially since they brought back characters that in other 2v8s that they wouldn't bring out, but now you can pretty much play anybody
yeah.
with few exceptions.
Yeah, a lot of the licensed stuff still isn't open. As far as killers go, most of the majority of the killers you can't play yet in
Yeah.
2v8, but you have Nemesis, Wesker, and the Blight all added, which the Blight has a William Birkin skin, so you have like the Resident Evil cast that's in 2v8 now, which is awesome. I got a chance to duo killer in 2v8, and it's so much fun to have a friend that you're playing the game with. And I was playing with Kimchi, and she's playing the Huntress. She's throwing hatchets at people. I'm running around as a Blight, just swinging my pipe like a maniac. Oh, it's great. You know, you hit somebody, the Huntress snipes them from across the map. It's always good stuff.
Oh yeah. That's like, I don't play killer, but
Yeah.
I'm just having a blast with Survivor.
Yeah, it's a lot of chaos, and the same rules for loop and the killer don't apply in this. I've noticed that if you're pretty good at running the killer around, they'll lose interest because they'll see anybody
Yes.
else and go that direction. So that's been awesome. But when you get both killers, it's almost hopeless. It's not like a skill issue. Like, look, if I'm on one side of the pallet, the killer's on the other. I throw the pallet, and I get hit from behind by the other guy. There's nothing you can do about that.
It
But
seems like this time around the killers are working more with each other than they have in the past.
yeah,
And I think it's because of the type of killers. I mean, Wesker and Nemesis they work really well together.
Nemesis or Wesker and Legion is the worst combination to
That's
play
horrible.
against. Legion will run around. His thing is he goes into a power where he's super fast. He runs around and he just hits people with his knife. And as long as he keeps chaining it, he can go fast and can zip through the map. He has perfect control over the movement he does. A lot of the hasty killers, the killers that run fast, they have like something where they don't turn well, or there's some kind of mobility issue with them. Not the Legion. The Legion just runs around and he stabs people. And then you have Wesker, who he has in this mode 3 dashes where geometrically you can grab a lot of freaking people that way. And when he grabs somebody using that special, he doesn't worry about the pickup animation. He doesn't worry about all that. He just grabs the survivor and throws him into the cage, basically.
Have you noticed the bug with Wesker though? I encountered that.
I had a significant bug. I'm wondering if we had the same one.
Well, he grabbed me and he couldn't do anything with me. He had to just keep carrying me. And then they pulled the doors. The doors went out, and I was still on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually the game ended, but
yeah. So
that's funny.
That same exact thing happened to me with Wesker. His dash thing is always been bugged in some way. Like you'll sometimes get some unfair catches of Survivor. They'll be on the other side of a pallet. They'll stun you with the pallet, but all of a sudden they're on the same side of the pallet as you, and you have them in your hands, and they're going on the hook. So there's a couple things with Wesker, but I had a game where I was playing Wesker, the last Survivor, and I felt bad because I'm sure this guy thought I was trolling him, but like I didn't have a drop button, so I couldn't drop the Survivor because in 2v8 you can't pick people up. You weren't supposed to have them on your shoulder in that game mode, but I did. And so I'm just walking around. I have a Nemesis playing with me. He's just looking at me like shaking his head like, what are you doing? Put this guy down. And
I can't.
And because it counts as a down Survivor, the end game, the timer that goes down to end the game, it goes really slow and it takes forever. And then even after the timer went all the way out, He was
You're
still
still
on my
holding him.
shoulder for like another like 30 seconds until the
Yeah.
game actually ended. But hey, bugs aside, the game mode has been really fun.
Oh goodness, yes. So I think it'd be some if they could get the shape and maybe Freddy in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Well, that's what we're missing is stealth killers. We have a bunch of fast, aggressive killers, but not a lot of stealth. And I kind of get it because it's tough to have 8 survivors and to also try and be stealthy. Like every second is so valuable as killer. You have no idea. And you also have like when you're playing killer in this mode, you have a 30-minute wait time before you get into a game. It takes 30 minutes to find a match as killer.
Wow.
It's insane. So I'm doing stuff on the side. I'm like cleaning the house or something, like, waiting for my turn to be up. But Survivor queue, you just get right in.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's real fast.
Yeah, it sure is. You
Yeah,
get
20 seconds.
30-minute wait times are not for me.
Yeah. No. Generally they aren't for me. And normal queue times for killers usually like 2-3 minutes tops. If the queue's favoring Survivor, but it's just been really bad with 2v8 because I think a lot of duos kind of like killing people with a friend. So, but
I can see that. So, John, have you ever played Baldur's Gate 3D? Have you played it yourself?
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. We're doing a playthrough with my friend Joel. He also streams. We just got to the 3rd act, I believe. So I haven't beat it yet.
Have you played it multiplayer then?
Yeah, we're playing multiplayer currently.
And have you played multiplayer, Wayne?
Yeah, briefly, but I didn't make it very far. Mainly, I play solo.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I have not played it multiplayer yet. I'm just curious what that whole dynamic is like.
So I would say the game is so the pros of playing multiplayer, you aren't responsible for all the looting. That duty is kind of divided between everybody, right? So that makes it a little bit easier because you aren't the only person searching chests and whatnot, and you can see if somebody else has searched something, so you don't have to research things, right? The combat
And you're in different places of the world.
Oh yeah, you can be completely separated. Just like in the game, you can have one person over here, one person over here. And what we do is if somebody gets into combat, that person in combat doesn't take any actions. Everybody else, we go to the person in combat, and that is our combat now. You can spectate other players.
Oh yeah, so you're basically like pausing on their turn.
Yeah, yep. You pause on their turn basically, and then you get there from other places, right? You can spectate other players' dialogues, and you can vote for what you want them to select, but they ultimately get the choice in what they pick. I wouldn't suggest going in with 4 players. I would do 3 players, so you can always have an NPC with you, because each player has their own custom character. So
right,
there's not that I know all of the plotline because my longest playthroughs have been multiplayer, kind of like a D&D campaign. But you can't do some things like I think it's Karlak. You can't save her if you have a full party.
Oh,
because you have to take Karlak to certain places.
Right. Oh, I see. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's the only downside. 3 players.
You have to play an NPC. You have to play a unique character. You can't have one person playing Karlak, one person playing Gale, one person.
I'm pretty sure you have to have your own unique character, and then you can assign different people to different people. Like if you have 3 people, you can have one person run Shadowheart and their custom character, then the other 2 run the other characters.
So when you say run them, but you still only have 4 people active at a time, 3 players and the NPC. So even though they're running them, you're taking turns on who needs who for what.
Yeah, you can switch out that character in your party if you want. But whoever's assigned that character under them is the person who controls that character. So if we have Karlak with us and they're under me, and you can switch control on the fly if you need to, then I'm making all of Karlak's decisions. It's not like a group decision type thing. So it's good, but it also, like, combat can drag a little bit, especially if you have somebody who's like, oh, I'm gonna go grab a drink or whatever, right? Like, all right, well, we are all going to take a break,
Right.
because once it gets to your turn, nobody's doing anything until after your turn is over. So that's the only downside I've seen. Like with D&D, I can run downstairs, grab a drink quick. If it comes to my turn, the DM can just come back to my turn, right? On the flip side, you have a beautiful map, you have, all these characters. So it is a good experience, I think. I've enjoyed playing it that way.
It's interesting. I can see a lot of different combinations. Like, you have people playing it different ways and seeing what happens when it turns out. If somebody playing a little on the evil side, someone playing on the good side, someone playing on the greedy side, see how that pans out between all of the different methods being played simultaneous.
Awesome episode. Great to talk about the Hulk. We talked Red Hulk. We talked Green Hulk. We talked Gray Hulk. We talked all the Hawks, right? We got some multiplayer gaming in there, some chat there. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, guys.
Yeah, nerds.
Sounds good.
Leave comments and talk about maybe the Hulks we didn't cover.
There's so much that we didn't cover.
Goodness,
and the Hulk is just a massive.
He's
like
massive.
Said, rabbit
He's
hole
just
chasm.
massive.
He's massive. Yeah.
All right, nerds. We will catch you later. See you guys.
Have a good night.
See you later.
Yeah, bye.